Folks, Coach JC here with another home body sculpting and mobility video post. I'm just looking back at this image here of me in a white top with a white background, a little bit of a blur, and I look like this angel who is descending upon people. Now, I am not the archangel trying to give you any sort of Messiah message, although my initials are JC and it is the festive season. But I have got a inspirational message for you, which will help you, well, I hope will help you anyway when it comes to confronting your day ahead of you. Maybe you've got that obnoxious boss or clients you know you're going to have to deal with, people you work with, or maybe it's just getting yourself ready to deal with the big challenge of going to the gym when you just don't feel like it. Now, they say that within every individual, there is a novel. There is a fictional story which we all can write. Now, what makes us do what we do, most of us, is fame and fortune. So if you know you're not really going to be able to publish a book and get recognized for that book and get paid for it, then you probably wouldn't do it. But I would strongly recommend giving it a try. There's no deadline, just write. And don't worry about people reading it neither. When you pass away, you might inspire other people. You leave behind a legacy. Now, if you were writing a book, right, imagine if you had the power to write a main protagonist and give that protagonist life. Okay, make them self-conscious. Here's a question. Would you give that individual the power to dictate their own path and predict where that story is going? Now, if your answer to that question is yes, then I would say put down the pen, get on with your life, don't ever try writing. But I'm sure at least 99% of you would say no, you're the one who's going to dictate what happens. Because a story is only a story when the protagonist has self-doubt, when they don't know how they're going to overcome an insurmountable challenge. Now, when you're going through the insurmountable challenge, what makes it relatable is the fact that they go through the full gambit of emotions, negative emotions, anger, frustration, self-doubt, loneliness, jealousy, rejection. This is all part of being a human being. Yet for some reason, we, and I'm just as guilty as anybody else, don't want to go through those emotions, maybe because it's negative. But if you went through your life and achieved great things without going through those emotions, then the reward has no value. You see, right now, there is the World Cup going on, and these are multimillionaires. They can buy whatever they want to, so they don't need to go through all the rejection and pain and penalty shootouts to get this chunk of metal, which they call the World Cup. But it only has value when they go through that journey. Now, I'm going to recommend a book that I think, well, I'm going to recommend two books, which I think you should just have in your library. If you can read a book from cover to cover, then it's not really worth having. But if you have it just as a reference, then it's great to keep in your library. This one is Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey is the one that's the most popular right now. It's okay, but I've got the original version of it, which is The Hero with a Thousand Faces. I would say go get The Hero's Journey, really, because it's an easier read and the grammar's a lot better on it as well. Now, this is the archetype by which most stories which have lasted more than a generation, they don't last a generation if they don't follow this kind of archetype, would follow. So the hero will go through like 12 different stages, and it's broken down into 3 different phases. We know them as acts, the first act, the second act, and the third act. But really, for a story to resonate with its audience, it must go through those phases, which is, again, self-doubt, having a mentor to get them through this because they don't have the answer, but somebody helps them to discover it within them. So if any individual thinks that they can do it on their own, they can't. I can't do it on my own. I can't build this business on my own. I need someone to help me, but also I need to have a point where I actually feel like I want to give up and doubt that I have the ability. And then we've got a story. The other book I would recommend is The Obstacle is the Way. I've spoken about this one before, which is written by Ryan Holiday. And again, you just would read a chapter. It will probably inspire you because it's all about embracing the challenge ahead of you. Now, there is a current rhetoric that's out there. It's the most popular rhetoric right now, that we want to make life easy for everybody, where they want to iron out life so everything is fair for everybody. And if we can have that sort of equity where we've got level playing field for everybody, then whoever wins from that is going to be the successor. Now, it sounds really good in theory, but in reality, it's the people who are unprivileged who acquire the skills to sustain the position they achieve when they get there. This is so important because if the person who is unprivileged wastes their whole life wanting to have what the more privileged person has, they're missing out on life's probably most valuable lesson, and that is the journey. Think about The Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings is a movie that, if you add them all together, the whole trilogy is about 10 hours worth of TV watching. And it's an intrepid journey where they go through highs and lows, troughs, valleys, hills, mountains, battles, fallouts, all the emotions that you could ever go through. And they get to the end of the journey, and then they have the ring, which they destroy. And guess what? Some eagles come and fly them all the way home. Why didn't they just use the eagles in the first place, surpass all of the challenges, destroy the ring, and come all the way back home? But then there would be no story. There would be nothing to discover about yourself. There would be nothing to learn about yourself. So my words of advice to individuals here is stop wasting your time and energy trying to get this equity where life is fair. Embrace the unfairness. If people are looking at you because you're a woman and saying, you know what, you can never do this as a woman, I don't really think joining any movement like feminism is going to help you. What will help you is you just proving them wrong, regardless. I also say the thing as a black guy, I was never really a fan of Black Lives Matter, which goes around begging people to make life easy for me. I actually like the fact that life was really challenging, because what I learned when I prove against all odds, against all racism, and actually become the best at what I do, I deserve it. And no one can take it away from you. And the most important thing about it is that once you've acquired it, even if you do lose it, you will know exactly how to rebuild it. So that's my message to you today. Stop looking for an easy life, as Bruce Lee said, but pursue the skills to overcome a difficult one. In the meantime, please like and subscribe. And as I said, together we'll work to achieve feeling great, looking good, and enjoying moving. I'll see you in the next video post.